All right, guys, welcome back to the Divijs podcast, episode 107. Been going for 4 years, and we're not going to stop until we get to number one on Spotify right next to Joe Rogan. It's a special episode today. I'm very excited to talk to our special guest because I like interviewing entrepreneurs. This podcast started purely based on entrepreneurship. And as an entrepreneur myself, I like to learn from fellow entrepreneurs, obviously, because you get all these gems and you just become a better person, I think, through the conversation. And today we have my good friend, Travis Lubinsky. He is a serial entrepreneur, president at the Experientials, which got acquired by Key.co. Congratulations. We'll talk about it. He is the founder of Flex Watches, creator of Trav Brands. You do a lot of stuff, bro. Well, Travis Lubinsky in the building.
Thanks for having me.
What's up, brother? Thank you for coming on.
Can we hear me okay? Mic check, 1, 2.
I think we're good.
All right.
Cool. I can hear you. You're sitting right next to me.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Of course, brother.
The studio is awesome.
It's actually my first time here. I used to shout out Third Wheel Podcast Studio. You guys are great, but we had to level up, and this studio just has a better vibe. The quality's better, and you got to just keep elevating in life. Yeah,
it's very cool in here.
Thank you, bro.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be in the new studio and christen it with you.
Yeah,
it's exciting,
dude. So you're up early, right?
Yeah,
it's 9 a.m. I've been up for an hour. You've been up since 4.
Yeah,
probably
4.
That's crazy. Can you walk me through a day in the life of Trav?
Sure, no problem. I mean, it starts around 3:30. I get up, do a little stretch, a little meditation.
Yeah.
Just kind of relax before I go to the gym. Make sure I'm not like stressed out and I feel good. And then I'll head to the gym and I'll stay there for like an hour and a half. I lift 5 days a week, do cardio twice a week. So I'm pretty much there every day, Monday through Sunday.
Jesus.
I just like that routine, keeps me calm, keeps me mellow. And then once I accomplish my workouts for the day, I kind of just start checking in on my phone, and I have my D&D on till 7. So I don't, even if I film content, I'm not looking at my screen. I'll just hit the camera real quick. So yeah, I mean, it starts there, and then I'm in meetings with the team from like 7 to 9, getting everything that
7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Yeah, like getting everything dialed in for the day, like stand-ups and just touching base with the team. And then after that, I go into like just deep work, like the first priority focus for the day. Spend like 2 or 3 hours doing what I have to get done for that day. Then I'll eat for the first time around lunch.
Wow. Okay. So intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Which I want to get into because that's a controversial topic. Some people say it's good to fast. Some people say it's bad to fast. So I want to hear more about your thoughts there.
Yeah. We'll expand on that after a little. Yeah. And then I'll get back into like another deep work sesh for a couple hours and just kind of push through whatever I need or want to finish that I feel like is like the number one priority. And then I'll start returning phone calls and start getting back to people and start hitting emails that came in throughout the day while I was like really deep and focused, because I'll just straight turn my phone over. And like I'm known for just ignoring my phone. People are like, yo, I can't get a hold of you. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Phone's on D&D and I'm focused.
You're not supposed to get a hold of me.
So yeah, and then when I want to see my friends, I'll connect with them, schedule it, and go hang out or go on a trip.
I love that. It sounds like you're very intentional with your morning, because I do the same thing. I wake up not at 3:30. I'm usually at 5:30. So you've already beat me by 2 hours, which is fine.
I mean, it started at 6, right? Just started loving the morning and like owning that time.
Yeah, because I think people that haven't experienced that, like 3:30 to 6:30, like it's such a peaceful time, bro. Like no one's bothering you, no one's texting you, no one's calling you because everyone's asleep. And I feel God's presence in the morning a lot more than sometimes throughout the day, which I'm trying to work on. But that's very interesting because, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and we'll just get into it straight, but I think when you're an entrepreneur and you're running multiple companies, like your phone is blowing up all day long. Like people are calling you, texting you. And I think it's easy to get lost in what everybody else needs and not be focused on what you need to do and be intentional.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it's just being reactive and like having shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
And like people hitting you up with opportunities and they're like, yo, I got an opportunity for you. But like, when's the last time someone called you and was like, I have an opportunity for you. What's your bank account? I want to wire you money.
Yeah, never.
Never.
I wish that would happen.
They want you to help them with their opportunity.
Yeah.
And then they get mad when you don't volunteer to help them.
Do you
I mean, that's the truth.
It's reality. Yeah.
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 Unless it's like a friend checking in on you or a family member, they're calling you for a reason.
Yeah.
And it wasn't planned, so they need you.
Yeah.
And their lack of planning is not my problem. So it's kind of like,
correct.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
I know you need to get on the phone right now because you need something, but I also need to focus. And that's just, it loses friends, to be honest with you. It is somewhat of a lonely thing if you're just kind of like, no, I'm dialed in 7 days a week. Like, I'm not going to go party.
Yeah. And knowing you've got a big network, so you're probably getting hit up a lot, like to do.
Well, I started that myself, right? I started networking very hard and building my personal brand and putting myself out there as someone who wants to help entrepreneurs. I built a community. I launched courses. I had students, but like I found time and place for that stuff. So I was marketing myself as an entrepreneur who had gone through failures publicly on TV. I've cried on TV before, so people can relate to the authenticity and the vulnerability, and they think that I'm just now fine. And it's like, bro, I'm still dealing with my own mental battles. I'm still having to get up every day and push myself to go to the gym. I still have to get on those calls and grind out like you do. I still have to get intensely focused and worry about all things in life as well. You know, so it is a like full commitment to a lifestyle, I think. Yeah. Of being an entrepreneur, at least at that level. Like I've been around really successful entrepreneurs and they don't fuck around. Yeah.
Very disciplined, very diligent in what they do, for sure. Were you always like that? Like
No. Today the 4th?
July 4th? No, September 4th, yeah.
Yeah. Today's 6 years sober.
Congratulations. Jesus Christ.
I got up with a hangover after Labor Day weekend and was like, I got to go to work. And it was on TV.
Yeah.
It was a Tuesday because the calendars are off. But I went into work and I had a badass hangover, and I went in the bathroom and I was like ready to cry. I think I might have cried. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm not where I want to be financially. I was happy. I was on TV, but it's not what people perceive, you know? And I had already gone through a struggle, and my business partner and I had got bought out from our first company, my first exit, and I was still there working like a real job. And that was stressful. And so I was at a point where I was like, I just want to make a change, you know? And I got myself mentally prepared to do that. It just took a while. It takes a long time, you know?
Were you drinking a lot?
No, but I was going out and hanging out with friends and like doing the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that made it a little bit more of a time suck and like more of a networking thing. Like I said, I was going out networking, you know?
Yeah.
And I was trying to make connections and trying to do things, but then it just led to shiny object syndrome and doing 100 things with a bunch of people and not being focused enough. So once I started focusing on myself, I would say like, and it's hard to even think about and put myself back in that mindset, right? It almost gives me anxiety. I was like going out 3-4 days a week, and I would probably spend 2-3 hours out. So call it 12-15 hours a week that I wasn't putting into myself. So when you add that up, it's like
a lot
40, 50 hours a week. So 6 years later, thousands of hours that I've put into myself, which is just actually crazy. It's like makes my palms sweat. It's like crazy to think about how deep of a journey that I went on from just being stressed out and unhappy with just the situation I was in. It wasn't like, again, everyone asked me that question, do I have a problem? No, I just wasn't where I want to be. That was my problem.
Yeah.
That's it. I just wanted to level up. And I was around these people that were sober and billionaires, and they were walking in the room with frame control, and then they would walk in and dominate, and then they would get what they wanted. And I was like, how the fuck do I get what I want?
Like, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah. And then I was at Fleischman's mastermind.
Shout out Dan Fleischman. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I was at his mastermind at actually the house we were at.
Oh, no
First
shit.
ever mastermind, 100 million, was a dinner at that house. And our speaker was Mark Wahlberg.
Legend.
And I could not wait to meet him. And he talked a little bit about his routine, but not much. It wasn't like viral routine Mark Wahlberg guy back then.
Yeah.
It was like early.
Was this when he was Marky Mark, or was this post Marky Mark?
I mean, it was like Mark Wahlberg, post Marky Mark.
Pre-TED though?
6 years ago.
Okay, got it.
Or 5. So essentially, like I had started this journey of trying to, I mean, shout out Dan Martell, buy back my time by not spending my money in the nightclub and wasting it. So I just allocated my funds towards personal growth, joined Mastermind, started building a personal brand. I launched the Trav Instagram. This was all post like Travis Lipinski Social. I like rebuilt myself.
Yeah.
And I came out with a new brand. And I built a logo. I trademarked the word Trav. So if you're using the word Trav on the internet for internet marketing, that's my trademark.
Lawsuit coming your way.
And the word Flex, Flex.
You trademarked Flex?
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Actually, dealing with something with that right now.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's our original trademark for Flex Watch. It's just a 4-letter word, FLEX, in watches and accessories. So
Wow.
I started building the Trav brand, and I had some success with Flex watches. I was on The Real World. I had started collabing with celebrities. I had partnered with Tyga. We did a collab. So like I had moved myself to LA, and I like really started pushing into the Trav brand. You know what I mean? And that was when I went to the mastermind, and Mark was taking pictures with like 2 or 3 people after he spoke. And at the time I was like, oh my God, I have to take a picture with Mark Wahlberg. Like, this is everything.
Yeah.
And I got right there. It was like me, Mark, and Dan. And he looks over, he looks at me, he goes, hi, looks at Dan, and he goes, I got to get out of here. And he looks at his watch, and it's 7:30. And I'm like, hold on, where are you going? It's only 7:30. He looks straight at me, didn't even shake my hand. He goes, I'm going to bed. And he just rolled, and everyone followed him.
Discipline, baby.
I was like, whoa, that dude is gnarly. And then I followed him, and then I started watching him, and I was like, this dude wakes up at 3:30. He goes and works out every morning. He's shredded, and he's in his 40s. I'm like, this is possible, right? So like, it's just being in proximity. Like, I had no relationship with him, but then like having a close relationship with Marcus and having a close relationship with Damon John, like I've been around these dudes who, they're all business, bro. And the people around them are all business. So I can't imagine one of those guys. I mean, I have been out with them and hung out and had fun, but I can't imagine one of those guys in their early days as an entrepreneur going out and popping bottles in a nightclub or rocking chains and just like trying to be part of the scene, you know? And it's like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like not a thing.
I think there's this almost like fake news about, you know, especially in LA, like if you want to be in this scene of business people and celebrities, entertainment, like you have to be a part of that lifestyle. And in reality, you don't.
Okay, let me explain.
Yeah.
I 100% thought that.
Yeah.
So I moved to LA, and I became partners with Tyga, and I started working with other celebrities and influencers and chasing that. We blew up. Flex Watches blew up on Vine. That's how a lot of people found out about us. And I was here. We were at Vine Street with Logan in his bedroom, Logan Paul, doing watch giveaways with Jake Paul doing watch giveaways. You know, I'll send you some videos later. They're crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy, like laundry on the floor, one bedroom. This is crazy. But we were doing like Instagram watch giveaway. Go follow me, Logan Paul on Instagram, because it was like we're trying to build his following through our Vine at the time by doing watch giveaways, you know? So I had chased that like idea that was it. And everyone else's perception of that and my personal brand was like, okay, you're killing it. And I was on TV multiple times, but I wasn't killing it. And it was like the effort and energy that I was putting in to be seen, to be in the scene and be around these people, and thinking that like they were going to then help me personally and be like, oh, hey, here's some money. And it's like, you're there to help them. Yeah. You know, and I fully respect that, but I want people to help me. So I was like, I love all these guys. Yeah. I love Marcus, but let's build Trav, you know?
For sure.
And I had experience being around people and helping them do that. And I was like, man, I've helped people grow social media. I've helped them build and launch brands. We've sold millions of dollars in product online through doing this and in retail stores, right? So there was just a point where I was like, I wonder if I'm self-sabotaging by not going all in. And I'm just like afraid of that glass box that I put on my own head.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do this, you know? And it was just a commitment to myself, and I didn't have a plan other than I want to build Trav. And like, I wrote down, what is that guy? I've done this 3 times. I just did it again. It's like, what is Trav? And then I did Trav 2.0, and I just did Trav 3.0, hence the collared shirt.
Yeah.
Right. And the haircut. But it's like, I wrote down, what does this guy do and what does he not do? And I didn't write down that he partied. He didn't waste money. He didn't waste time. That person didn't do that. He went to the gym. He went to bed early. He woke up early. He invested money. He invested in himself. I wasn't doing that. I just had this vision of this person I wanted to become, and I worked towards doing that. I started documenting it, and I'm like, I'm building the Trav brand. I'm like, come follow me. You could look to the beginning of Instagram. My first post with Marcus, the first thing is a story. It's just storytelling. And it matches what you would see on TV or in the press. It wasn't some like cap, like I'm in the nightclub and I'm so cool. I took a photo as a celebrity. It's like, no, I'm on the show. I'm in the content. I'm in the press. This is real, you know? And there's just this facade that you can create in Hollywood that all of that can exist, but it's still not real. You know? And that's crazy.
Yeah. What was Trav 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0?
Well, Trav, the beginning was just that. It was like, who is this guy? Like, he focuses on himself. He invests in himself. He works on himself. That's all I knew. And it was very slow. It took me years to get anyone to even notice the fact that I was doing push-ups or pull-ups. I could only do one pull-up, so I used to film it. I was like, I did a pull-up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's better than zero.
Better than zero. But I was like putting that journey out there. And the first thing I did that actually made people notice me was I lost 50 pounds. I was 215 pounds and I went down to 165. Wow. I don't weigh 165 now. I weigh like 180, but I just dropped weight and I did cardio. I didn't lift a single weight. I just ran and swam every day, one of the two. And I got up to running like 3-4 miles, and then I would swim for like 20 laps. And I lived right across the street from Equinox, and I did that every morning. And I was like, I think I'm going to do this for a while. I did for a couple of years. And then the pandemic hit. And I was like, everything's changing. We stopped filming the TV show. We shut down the office. I was living in LA. I was living on Sunset right here on Vine. And it was just like riots outside, and like people were looting. And I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is tough for me. Like, I don't want to be here. This isn't the LA I know. I'm not going to the office anymore. I just feel trapped. Yeah. So I went to Orange County and I reconnected with some college buddies in San Diego in 2020. And that's when Trav 2.0 was born. And I was like, what does this guy do? Well, I had years of private equity experience. I worked as the president of the Marcus Lemonis Creative Group. I helped other entrepreneurs build their brand on TV, harness that traffic, and monetize it. So I became the guy that built brands and tell stories with Marcus on TV. And he gave me that. He was like, you're the guy. If I have something, hit Trav. So he kept bringing me on all these episodes and all these shows. That built my credibility. It wasn't like, buy Instagram followers. It's like, no, go live with Marcus during the show. Talk about our Star Wars collab. Talk about our Minions drop. Talk about all this cool stuff we're doing. Get featured on CNBC. Have like, actual press and stuff. So for me, that was like cool. But the reality of that was entrepreneur who lost his way, needed to find back to charity, struggling entrepreneur. It was a story that they had to tell to bring arc to my character. And a lot of the press was about how I was 100K in debt, how I was crying on TV, how my business partner lost his mom. And I'm like, fuck, is that really what I want people to see when they Google me? Or do I want a newer version? So how do I tell that story? How do I control that digital footprint? And to me, that was more of like, hey, I had experience in private equity. I want to do something different. I've integrated myself and my brand in the real world. We're in the real world house. We put that on TV. I integrated myself into The Profit on CNBC. My office became the set. I was integrated for years on TV. And it was always about integrations and activations. And I was like, I just want to create a physical experience where people can come see my brands. Like I didn't know if I wanted to open a store or what I wanted to do. Moved to Orange County. It's where I'm from. My San Diego college buddy, shout out Zach, said, I found a spot that I think you'd be interested in. I want to open a restaurant. Oh. Like what? Came down there, ends up being the restaurant we used to eat at every day in college. Went out of business during the pandemic. And they had a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. And he's like, maybe we should start a restaurant and launch an Airbnb. We could theme it out and call it whatever. And that's how I became the co-founder. And we started Palmies. So Palmies is a bed and breakfast in Pacific Beach, San Diego. And that was our first like Airbnb, which led us to getting another Airbnb, which led me to being like, well, I'm a real estate brand guy. I integrate and activate brands in real estate. That's me. Yeah. And I started posting it. Like, here we are at Palmies, day one. You can see on my Instagram story highlights. If you go to @Trav on Instagram and go click the highlights, I started posting day one. I literally day one, hey, we're here at Brick and Bell, closed down. We're going to be opening a restaurant here. If you know, you know. This is going to be called Palmies. It's literally a construction site. And you can watch the entire thing get built. And then we win Best Restaurant of the Year, Best New Restaurant of the Year in San Diego. Thing is rented out through the end of the year, the upstairs. So it's a profitable business. And we started doing Airbnbs. And so I was like, I'm the brand guy that integrates products into this. So that led me to becoming the co-founder of Experientials, which is like fast forward has now led me to becoming the president of Key Experientials.
Congratulations. This all just happened too.
I mean, it's what, Wednesday right now? Yeah. I signed on Friday.
Wow.
So, it's been a crazy journey as an entrepreneur. I've been doing this for 20 years. And when I first got started, I had this idea that I wanted to build brands and tell stories. Yeah. And it was like, what brand, what story, what brand, what story? And like Flex is all about stories. The watches tell time, right? But we would say our watches don't tell time. They tell stories. Yeah. because they were all connected to different causes and they affected people in a different way. And as I went on and continued to do this, even with experientials and with Key, it's all about that customer journey, their experience, and the story that they're going to tell, right? Because that's marketing. And it's like, I stayed at this Airbnb. It had this crazy pool in the front yard. I walked in, it had this hidden door. I opened this Murphy door and this hidden oasis to the rooftop, or I went in this door and then I found a speakeasy. And it's like, those are experiences. And now you tie brands to those things, you know? You're integrating brands into that moment or into that bedroom so that you can have someone sleeping on a Thuma bed or opening that Murphy door or in a plunge pool. So like there are opportunities now for me, which is so cool, to work with large brands, really big brands, and help them tell their story and help them integrate their products and brand throughout high-end Airbnbs, which honestly is how I got my break, the Real World House, integrating myself, my brand, and my products into the show. And today, that's the equivalent to like a Real World is social media.
Yeah.
An influencer. So we have content days, we have content houses, and these brands use these houses to create content because they're perfect for it, right?
Yeah.
They look like little sets.
That's amazing.
So the idea has honestly just become something that's evolved over the years, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I just was kind of at a pause. It was like the pandemic and everyone else. So am I going to sit here or I'm going to become this new version of myself that now starts a private equity group, has a portfolio? You know, my partner went on and he runs that to this day. He's made over 50 investments in really big companies.
Wow.
And brands that are emerging brands that have taken off, like Laundry Sauce. And it's been a really cool experience for us because we've been entrepreneurs for 15 years. And in the last few years, everything kind of started clicking, you know? I've started 5 companies. I've had 2 exits. 4 of them are still around today. And for me, it's just always been a journey. And like, I don't think there is an end. It's just like that next version.
Yeah.
And so now Trav 3.0, he works on the business, not in the business. You know, he doesn't make excuses. He doesn't play victim. He doesn't blame people. What Trav does is takes responsibility, faces it head on, and he fights through adversity. So now I make smart investments. I dress sharp. And that's what I do.
You look great.
But that's me manifesting future self.
Yeah.
And you know what I did? I went and bought collared shirts. I went to the laundry. I cleaned everything that I had from back in the day when I was, on TV with the collared shirts on. And I was like, this is the new grown up version of that guy with all of that experience. And like, it's so cliche, it's like, oh, overnight, like we finally did it. We got this thing. We did it. And it's like, it is all just a journey and it's all just brick by brick, step by step.
Yeah.
And then when you look back, it's like, whoa, we've accomplished some cool stuff. But in the moment, even in like, the small wins, they don't feel like wins at the time.
Yeah.
They're just like, you're going through it. And then the big wins is what you like look for. And you're like, I need the big wins. But
for sure,
those are actually, they're not the best. It's the small, consistent little wins that add up over time. All these big wins I've ever had, like I fell hard after.
Is it because you got too obsessed with, the party, like not the party, but like the excitement around what I just did. And then after you the dopamine kind of just fell off?
It's burnout. It's just like, if you only have, say a business is 10 steps, right? And you can take all 10 steps and get to the end. If in the beginning you take all the 10 steps that you have energy for and you go big and you don't prove the concept and you don't do all the things and set up the infrastructure, processes, systems, cash flow, financing, all the things, they can fail, And that's why with experientials, it was like a proof of concept first, invest, prove it, buy the house, theme it out, put it on Airbnb ourselves, make that work. Talk to brands, get them to send us product in exchange for content and product placement, make that work. Then get another house, then get another house. Then take that to other property managers, make that work.
Yeah.
Do a pilot program. Then take that to a platform. And when you get there, they say, hey, this is in our roadmap. We might as well just acquire you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sure.
That works too, right? So it's just a matter of, and with startups, it's just like putting one foot in front of the other. We're all a little delusional, right? We're delusional, optimistic.
Yep.
And we want something to work, so we wake up every day and fight for it. And I think that is the thing, right? So it's like, call it manifesting, call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if you write down a vision and you lock in on the vision, you change your mindset. If you change your mindset, you change your actions. If you change your actions, you change your life. So it all starts by yourself at a desk with a piece of paper.
Yep.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Who do you want to be? And then just work relentlessly towards becoming that person. And then when you get there, next version.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have to shoot for like, I need to be this person. And I'll say this last part. Like, I used to always make my goals of, I want to have this. I want to have this car.
Materialistic.
I want to make this money. I want to do this thing. Now, every goal is to be. I want to be this person. I want to be. So a to have goal versus a to be goal are completely different. And so that's how you leave legacy, and that's how you get remembered as someone, is like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be remembered as? Right?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, kind of, even if you're a successful entrepreneur and you want to be known as that successful entrepreneur, there are things you can do to be that person. It doesn't have to be tied to specifically how much money you made or how much, you know, your net worth is. You can still be known as the successful entrepreneur who's been able to navigate something that's very difficult, that gives a lot of people stress and anxiety over an extended period of time, right?
Yeah.
So that builds endurance, and that kind of just builds character for me. And that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
You know?
It's incredible, man. I want to see who Trav 6.0 is.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we'll just
be like
going.
a transformer or some shit.
Just
like,
keep going.
Yeah. So I love that, dude. It sounds like, you know, you had to get right with yourself. Like, you knew how far you could take it, and I'm sure you still feel like you're going to take it even further, obviously. But like, you had to become so obsessed with being a better version and a better man. And that's what you did. You said, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to reevaluate who I am, and then I'm going to proceed based on who I want to be. And that's what you did. And you kind of remind me of, not that I know Kanye, but I remember watching the Yeezus documentary, and he's standing at the record label's office on the desk, and he's like rapping his music, and no one's paying him any mind, right? Like, people just
going office to office with his boombox.
Yeah, dude. And that, when I see that shit changed my life. Pardon my French, I'm trying not to curse, but when I see that, I'm like, dude, like, that's the level of delusional optimism, I think is what you called it. That is what it takes to be great. Yeah. You know? And it sounds like you have that.
I mean, not like Kanye, but that energy for sure. I love that part of that. And me too. I connect with him because of that. I was like, man, this is so cool. You know, that they had that, his mom gave that quote. It's like something about like a monster doesn't see himself in the mirror or whatever. It's like he just sees himself and everyone else sees that monster. So it's like, you can get so big, but it's just you versus you.
Yeah. Amen. That's the title of this episode, You versus You. I love that. So we, you know, people that are watching this, they get to sit here and see the Trav of today on September 4th, 2024. I want to take it back to pre-alcohol, like who you were kind of growing up, your childhood, your upbringing. Can you kind of take us through that journey of being a kid?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm firstborn generation American, or first American generation. America. My parents are from South Africa. My dad is from Zambia, Africa. My mom is from England. They met in South Africa. My brother was born in South Africa, and you know, it was just different because my dad came here without understanding this culture, and he became a doctor and worked 100-hour weeks. And my mom kind of took care of us in the household, and you know, I had 2 brothers, so there's 3 boys, just being wild. And I would just watch what my older brothers did because they would do it first. My oldest brother, Brad, would get in the most trouble because he was the first one to do it.
Always the Brad.
Yeah. And I would watch what to do, what not to do, and just kind of learn through watching my older brothers. And I became really close. I still work with my brother, Brad. I became really close with Brad, my oldest brother. And when I got into middle school, his friends started a clothing line called LRG.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We know
And Kevin Delaney, who's still there today, went back to LRG. Was one of my brother's best friends. So they're like, we're doing a warehouse sale. You guys should come through, bring some friends. We have some flyers. You should hand them out. And so I did that in middle school, and I started handing out flyers for LRG warehouse sales, and then convinced them to let me have one at my parents' house. And they gave me some inventory, and we laid out hats and shirts and stuff on the floor. Yeah. And I started hustling stuff out of their wholesale catalog.
How old were you at this time?
I was 12, 13.
Jeez, okay.
And then, I was 12. And then my brother, when I got to high school, had the lookbooks from LRG. So I could go around campus and be like, what do you want to order? This hoodie is half off. And so they would see something that was $150 and be like, oh, Trav can get it for me for 65 or $70. So I would go around and get orders. And I hand them to my brother, and then my brother would go there, and then they would place big orders. And they would get me and all my friends clothes, and I would come back to school with clothes. When I went to college at San Diego State, I was like, yo, I'm going to San Diego State. I'm going to the dorms. You should send me some clothes. I'll hand them out. And like I had never really worked for them or done anything. I just like handed out flyers and had some sales and hustled some clothes. But that first week, I rushed a fraternity and I showed up with clothes. And I brought a box of LRG hoodies. And all these guys were like, who's this guy from Orange County that does apparel? Like, what does this guy do? Like, who is this guy? And they just said the clothing guy from Orange County. So like I had been exposed through my brother to these guys, watched them build $100 million brand by that time, connecting it with Kanye was their first celebrity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then they went on and did massive collabs with all sorts of celebrities. But Kanye was a producer and he was not an artist. So in the time that you're talking, when he was running around in that movie, you could see him wearing LRG.
Oh, shit.
And they were gifting it to him. Yeah. So in his documentary on Netflix, he's rocking it.
That's crazy.
Crazy. And they did shoots with him, and then he blew up, and then they did shoots with other people. Yeah. And the co-founder Jonas was
not Nick Jonas.
No.
Okay.
His name was Jonas. Jonas was essentially just paving the way for building brands. And like he was that guy that you would see. He was from Orange County. He lived in Laguna Beach. He was a DJ. And he started this lifted research group, and he had all these slogans and sayings and told stories. Yeah. Deeper roots, stronger branches, make jeans, not war. And he was putting these things on clothing. I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, looking at that stuff, right? So I always loved the brand, and I always wanted to build a brand. And when I got to college, everyone thought it was the clothing guy. So when I rushed my fraternity, what do you think they said? Hey, can you make t-shirts? I was like, I'll figure it out. And when I started that process, I realized there was nowhere around San Diego State to design and manufacture Greek apparel. Yeah. That's when the entrepreneur Trav began. So freshman year, I ordered a screen press online with my partner. He was living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we turned his kitchen into our screen printing shop.
That's awesome.
Printed on the kitchen table, dried in the oven. Eventually grew that business. It was around for 10 years and started doing apparel manufacturing. I got a warehouse. I got automated presses. I stayed down in San Diego after college. I ran that business. We did over $10 million in Greek apparel and collegiate apparel and printing.
Wow.
And then I started doing Paris Hilton's merch. So that's what really got me into like the celebrity world. I just started running the merch for ParisHilton.com and then all her shows. So she started going to Ibiza, doing the foam parties. And her manager, Jamie Freed, hit me up. And I've known him since childhood. And he's like, hey, can you get shirts and towels and hats and shit to Ibiza? I'm like, I think so.
You're like, I'll figure it out.
So I started sourcing. And then once I started sourcing, I was like, I found this website called Trade Key and this one called Alibaba, which they don't have like Alibaba Express. It's like you contact contractors, you sign up and you like hit up factories. So I started finding different sources in different places. And that's in that process, like halfway through that, my other fraternity brother came to me with an idea to start a watch company. And I always wanted to build my own brand. I was already helping celebrities. I was already doing this. And I was like, I want to be the co-founder of Flex Watches. So I really focused on pivoting and doing that. And in the summer of 2011, while we were building the brand, we were organically integrated into the real world. So then we did a 2-year deal with Viacom, which really like, that was my first million.
And you were still in college at this time?
No, I was now 25. That company was around for 10 years, the printing company. I graduated college in 2008. I started that company in 2004. And then it stayed around until me and Tyga, so 2016, because I was printing Last Kings, the clothing line, and the Last Kings watches. And I moved to LA for the Last King stores opening on Melrose and printed all the clothes in that shop. Wow. So my company was the printing company. And that's the only company I started that's not around today because it kind of like evolved into celebrity merch, me starting a brand. And
yeah. This is so amazing, dude. It sounds like you got the bug pretty early, right? The entrepreneurial bug. And it's maybe because your brother was doing some cool stuff.
Yeah. And just following around my older brother and his friends and just trying to like see what they were doing. And I thought they were really cool. So I was like, how can I, you know what I mean? You're like young and they're like partying at the house and stuff and like hanging out, playing ping pong. So I'm like, oh, I want to play ping pong with you guys. It was like that small of a few friends in Orange County selling t-shirts out of a warehouse, you know? And I got to watch it like literally go to that level, hundreds of millions. I mean, at this point, it's probably done over $1 billion well over $1 billion, right?
I know you got equity. You're getting paid on that. You better be. If
No
you're not.
way.
You're not?
On LRG?
Yeah.
No way.
Okay.
I was a
say,
kid. I was a kid.
Yeah, but you're part of the initial stages of how it started. So you should get some equity.
As a 14-year-old.
We're to call him after
Nah, you know what? I was just so grateful to be around these guys and have them giving me clothing and like be able to give it out to my friends. Like that made me passionate about it. And when I was like 16 years old, they were DJing nightclubs and throwing events. They sneaked me in and like let me come. So it was just,
okay. You had the perks.
Yeah, it was a cool experience being exposed to all that. You know?
Yeah. What did your parents think of all this? Like they're watching you hustle, running around with T-shirts and stuff. Like, were they supportive of your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, they're super supportive of me. I mean, they just probably were a little concerned. You know, like why is he like my oldest brother Brad? Both my brothers are straight A's. One is a doctor, and Brad ended up going to law school, and then he ended up working doing sports and then entertainment. And then he managed a hip hop artist named Cassius from Interscope, got signed to Shady Records.
Wow.
And he was doing merch. Yeah. And I was like, yo, can you connect me with people who could do merch? So I started doing some merch for Shady Records. And then I got into the Young Money world and like Paris Hilton through Jamie, and then got connected to Tyga. So just through all those processes, they're just like, are you ever gonna, you know, like, is this ever gonna end? You know, they have no idea what's going on, who any of these people are. Like, just, okay, I hope it works. But being an entrepreneur is hard, especially if your parents aren't from America and they haven't done that before. It all just is foreign. You know what I mean? But they're super supportive of it, just like, you know, there for me when they needed.
Were your parents entrepreneurs?
I mean, my dad's very entrepreneurial because not only did he come here from South Africa, but he became a doctor and then he couldn't really find a place to work. So he went to Mission Hospital and they had 4 beds or something available. And he asked if he could start doing children's. And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, so him and another doctor started a group called Children's Hospital Orange County at Mission. And now today it's its own hospital and they staff multiple. There's like over 180 doctors. And he was the president for most of his career of the hospital. So there's a lot of business on that side. And they grew it to a massive hundreds of millions of dollars a year hospital. So, I mean, he's not just a doctor, but he is intense. I mean, he works very hard. He's worked 100 hours. He's like 70. He works like 100 hours.
Still going.
Yeah. Because he does the board, he does the hospital stuff, and he is a doctor too. So he does his rounds. He's on call. He'll sleep at the hospital. Yeah. So, yeah, it's intense.
I'm seeing a trend in your life. I'm seeing you surrounding yourself with high achievers is kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like, obviously you got the parents that you got, but it sounds like they were high achievers. Your brother was a high achiever, both your brothers. And then even into your career, you started surrounding yourself with these high achievers. So would you say that a big reason for why you are where you are is because of the people that you had?
Yeah. I mean, proximity to these people. My dad taught me work ethic and my mom taught me compassion. My mom was always there for me, you know, and my dad was very busy. So me and my mom had like this close relationship because my brothers left for college. And she was like, you know, parents get a little bit stressed out about that. And my dad's out at the hospital. So like, I'm the last one there.
Yeah.
So like as a mom, when all your kids have left the nest and your husband is working, like we grew a tight bond before when I actually grew up, like high school years and like leaving college. Like she helped me with everything, college applications and like all that stuff. Drove me down and all that, dropped me off. So having my mom there for me my whole life, whether it was sports and everything else, like showed me a different side. And then having my dad, who was just relentless at work, like relentless, you know what I mean? Like 2 days off a year type thing. So seeing, that's just how he is. Like he's deep in that. He likes to work and he likes to save lives. And there is no time on that. If someone's sick, someone's sick. If there's a kid that's dying of terminal cancer, he does neonatal intensive care. So it's kids who need him. You know, there is no like, hey, we'll check you in at this time. We'll be back. It's not surgery. It's like ER, straight to surgery, trauma, like fix this kid's brain. You know what I mean? Wow. So I think it's like a fight or flight situation. And like, I think after he'll probably calm down and you know what I mean? Yeah. But those are the two things that I were exposed to. And then later I didn't know really like what it was. And it's not like my dad was like, here's some money. It was like, he was just working and like, we weren't investing together. I wasn't learning business from him. I wasn't talking to him about entrepreneurship, nothing. And then it wasn't until I got to college and I was like, how do I fit in? Like, where do I fit in? Who am I? What is my identity? Like, I'm from OC. I got clothing. These guys start calling me the kid from Orange County. You know what I mean? So I just like assumed that identity and then like became that person. Like I didn't run a screen printing business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you figured it out.
I figured it out. And I think that was just this pursuit of that. Like, who do I want to be? And I didn't know then that was like, you know, a to be or a to have goal, you know?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be an entrepreneur who is successful. And when I saw that in other people, it was like, okay, that guy, or no, don't do that. It took me years of like trying to understand like that, you know, like I want to be around people like this, not like this. And honestly, it was an energy thing. These people excite me. They make me excited. These people give me anxiety and they make me pissed off. Like these types of people, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just learning. And then, it was people who held themselves to a really high standard and expected a lot from others. And they brought that out of me because I was around them. So like, it's not like they just assume. They're like high achievers, you know? So they're not like worried about this, like I said earlier, this glass box. They're like, you can do it. And so they treat you like that. And so when you're around people like that, who have that type of frame control, you know what I mean? It's literally dominant. And you can become more like them because you can see through that. Like, okay, once you see it, you know, once you see through that frame, you can kind of envision it and you can be like, I can do that. I can become that person. I can do that. I can walk in a room and have frame control. I can come in here and command respect. But what is he doing to do that? You know? And then I started really picking up on like, what do these people have in common?
What was the answer?
They don't drink. They wake up early and they work all day.
Yeah. Pretty simple. Yeah.
I mean, all of them.
That's amazing.
I mean, I haven't met one dude that I've met really successful people.
Yeah.
That party and they're just like, they're super rich and like,
for sure.
That's not who I want to be around though. Like those conversations aren't fun. Like even you're like, oh, let's go here. Let's travel here. It's like most beautiful place. And all they care about the whole time we're there is girls.
Yeah. Whereas I think the disciplined people will be like, yo, where can we find the gym? Like, where can we find the cold plunge, the sauna? Like,
what can we experience here? Where can we go? What activities can we do? Like, you're not trying to sit there and drink and party with chicks. Like, that's not why you go places. You can do that anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, it's, again, I lose his friends. It puts you in a position where you're like, and then you look at other successful people and you realize like, it's not like I'm not anywhere near these guys, but you realize why they don't want people around them, you know, because everyone just wants something from them. So then you start to see that they're so disciplined and they put up these boundaries because you can't become that successful if you just answer your phone to everyone and you just say yes all the time to people and you're available. Those guys don't answer their phone. They don't text back. Oh, some of them, like Marcus, texts back right away. But like, some of these dudes they're so focused on what they're doing. Like they could text you back 2 weeks later or not at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And our age group has grown up with it's like instant gratification. Like you need the answer now. Like text me now. You know?
Right. I look at people like Mark Cuban and Mike Tyson. Like some of these people don't even have phones. And I was watching in an interview with Mark Cuban. Like he doesn't talk to anybody. Like he's just texting all day long.
Yeah, it's funny I'm saying this and like I hate to do this, but I have a scheduled call.
You got to go
in 10 minutes.
You got to go. It's all good.
Go. So like with all things,
dude. No, we got through a lot of the stuff.
I mean, it kind of just fell on the perfect timing today. But I started my job, and our first meeting is with a Fortune 100 brand, and it's in 10 minutes at the W. So
it's kind of important.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
right,
dude. Good to see you, brother.
Thank you so much.
See you soon. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna take this coffee. Travis
Lubinsky, everybody. Make sure you go follow him at Trav. Go check out the experientials, key.co, Flex Watches.
Let's go.
Love you, brother. Be safe. Kill the call. I'll see you soon. That was amazing. So yeah, guys, it's just you and me now. We got a couple minutes. We're going to keep it rolling. I love people like that because it just kind of justifies everything in my mind, right? Like I've been on this journey personally where for the last couple of years, or I'm up every day at 5:30. I'm in the cold plunge. I'm in the sauna, and I'm kind of going through the journey that he went through, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And I just think it's so incredible, man, because people like that, they're so just disciplined and they're so focused. And I think you could just learn a lot when you surround yourself, with people that bring out that energy. And it's just amazing. But it's all good. I wanted to talk about his faith and some other things. I had some quick fire questions for him. But, I think we'll probably do a part 2 with him very soon. One thing I really wanted to get in with him about was sort of, how he manages his anxiety and sort of like how faith has played into his journey so far, because I know, through all this amazing stuff that he's accomplished, there's got to be the nights where he's, struggling with anxiety. He's, maybe depressed. I don't know. Maybe he went through a depression phase. And one thing I wanted to ask him was how, he had faith through that journey to get to where he is. And I think that's one thing I've learned as a man is, there's a phrase people say, whether it's true or not, people say, kids have their mothers and their parents to rely on, women have their husband or their parents or whatever, but men have themselves. And I think, one thing that the Bible says is cast all anxiety to God, right? And that's one thing that I've been doing in my journey is, anytime I feel that weird, anxiety creeping up, or I feel like, I call it the devil, right? Like I think the devil is trying to hack into my brain. I immediately go into prayer. And that for me has been so incredible. And it just brings you back to center. And I think especially in entrepreneurship where you're like, we talked about, you're constantly being, tossed questions at, you're being called, your phone's going off. There's a lot of things happening that can disturb your energy and your inner peace. And I think it's so important just to take time throughout the day to pray and to be, to become realigned in a sense. And that's something that I've been doing every couple hours. Obviously in the morning when I wake up, I'm praying, I'm journaling, and I think everyone should get a journal. Shout out to my sister Isha, forget me this, it's beautiful. But just, writing down my thoughts in the morning on a piece of paper and taking out the anxiety and letting it go so that you can be free in your mind. And then throughout the day, every couple hours, taking a second, putting the phone away and saying, hey, I'm going to recenter, read a couple of verses from the Bible and sort of just get realigned and realize truly what's important and what's not important. And I know Trav probably does something like that, which, again, we'll get into in the next episode at some point, hopefully. But yeah, guys, I think that's all we had for this episode. Make sure you guys leave a review. It's super helpful. Let me know what you guys thought about Trav and his journey. Make sure you guys, again, go check out the experientials, key.co, Flex Watches, and everything that Trav is up to. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave a review, like I said, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. We got some really exciting guests coming up. And I can't wait just to see, how we progress with this podcast, because my goal here is to just have true, deep, one-on-one conversations. If Christian shows up, then we'll have a 2-on-1 conversation. But actually, I don't even think I invited him, so no shade to Christian. But yeah, we're going to have really deep conversations with some cool people. Just so you guys know the direction I'm planning to take this, I want to pick the brain of people that aren't getting the attention in society, at least on, social media. People like barbers, kids, serial killers, like people that are, so that one's controversial, obviously, but people that are living in a society day to day, maybe don't get the appreciation and encouragement and recognition that they deserve. Surgeons, nurses, doctors. I want to truly get deep and just kind of pick their brain and hopefully, leave you guys with some amazing gems that you can then take into your day to day and, apply it to your life and business and whatever you're doing. So that's the direction we're taking the Divijs Den. But thank you guys again for tuning in, man. This has been an incredible episode. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a review, follow me on Instagram, follow Trav, and shout out to Lucy. I think some people will say nicotine is bad. I think it's okay in certain doses. I like to do it for nootropic purposes right before the gym or right before the podcast. I actually have one in right now, and Lucy has been my favorite brand. It's absolutely incredible. Shout out to John and the entire team. Higher quality ingredients, and it's all food grade ingredients. So it's, healthy if you want to call it that. But in small doses, I just take the 4 mgs, one a day, not doing the whole pack, because that's when it can get bad, is when you're becoming obsessed and addicted to things, obviously. But yeah, shout out to Lucy. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.